To cook my jollof, I'm using bell peppers. This is chicken stock. I have curry, thyme, powdered onions. I have some Cameron pepper, some salt. I'm not using any tomatoes, so I have tomato paste. I have 1.5 onion. This is a ghost pepper I'm going to be using. And then garlic and some Maggi cubes. And of course a blender. I like to use the NutriBullet. So that's what I'm going to blend everything in. I have bell pepper, onions, garlic, hot pepper. I put some rosemary in here too because sometimes my rosemary doesn't dissolve well. And I'm just going to blend. So now everything I blended, I'm going to pour it into this pot is hot. That's why I did that. I'm going to pour it in there. Ooh, this is spicy. It's really hot because of the Carolina Reaper that I put in here, the pepper. You just want to let this cook down a little bit to remove any water that might be in here. So this is the bell pepper after not too long. This is probably like 7 to 10 minutes. See, a lot of the water is out of it. And maybe I'll just give it like a minute and then I'm going to be ready to transfer this to my next pot. So you just want to take the pot that you're going to use to make the rice and add some oil. I always feel like I don't add enough oil, so I think this is enough. You just want to peel your onion and dice it. Now I'm just going to take these onions that were sliced and throw them in the oil that is getting hot. And then I'm just going to let these brown for a little bit. Now as these cook, I'm just going to put some curry and thyme, and I do that because if you put curry too late, sometimes it tastes very raw. So I'm just going to add it early during this step. You can always add some later if needed. So once the onions have started to get a bit soft, you want to add in your tomato paste. And the tomato paste is really thick, so you just have to push it down with your spoon, mix it around. So when it starts looking like this, it's pretty dark. The onions, you see, those are even softer. Before, you don't want it to start burning. You can scoop in the mixture that you blended. So scoop it in that mixture, and then once that mixture is scooped in, then you can just take it, mix everything around. Alright? If you don't have enough oil, like me, I don't think I needed more oil, but if I do, I'll add some. I did add a little more oil to this, but you can taste this to make sure that I'm not really tasting for salt or Maggi or anything like that, but this should have some flavor. But this is where we are. I'm happy with this. So this is the chicken stock that I mentioned I had from my freezer. I'm just going to add enough to cook the quantity of rice that I want to cook. I'm probably almost going to end up using most, if not all, of this stock. It's like a half-gallon freezer Ziploc bag. Okay, this is how it looks after I've added the chicken stock. I'm just going to increase my stove to like 4 or 5 so this can cook. This should boil. Once it comes to a rolling boil, I'm going to control the seasonings in here by adding some Maggi, some salt, some garlic powder, onion powder. This mix that you have here, it has to taste good. If it doesn't taste good, your rice is not going to taste good. So make sure this tastes delicious. So this is how my sauce is looking. This is probably about after boiling for 10 12 minutes or so. I'm just going to add a little bit of Cameron pepper. I've added a little bit of Maggi. I added a little thyme. I've added a little onion powder. So you can just adjust this to taste good. If this doesn't taste good, again, your rice is not going to taste good. So what I'm going to do at this step now is I'm going to scoop a little bit of this out. I always do that just in case I have to add some liquid or a little bit of sauce later, then I have some sauce ready to add. Okay, you want to wash your rice. This is parboiled long grain rice. So you want to wash it. What does that mean? Basically, you're agitating the rice with your fingers again. And then as you agitate it, you will see that the water is clouding. So then you'll spill out this water and you fill it up again. You agitate it a little bit more until the water runs dry. Here we are. I'm finished with washing the rice, and I've washed this rice with some cold water. I'm just gonna mix this up and see if I need. You see, I like how loose this is. I don't think this is too loose. I feel like a lot of times I'm making jollof rice, I need to add water and add this, but because it's too thick. But this seems like it's the right consistency. I want to emphasize that texture one more time, and then I am going to cover this with the foil and put this on low, on like number 1. So it's mostly heat that is cooking this. You don't need to add a whole bunch of water. You see, when I put my spoon just right there, I am touching the rice. I just want you to know the water is not like all the way here. Right here, I can touch the rice. So I just level everything. Put the pot on low. I've covered it with foil, and then I'm going to put the lid on it so none of the steam can escape. It's probably been about 15 minutes or so, and I'm starting to smell this. So I want to. This is what it's looking like, which looks okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move. I'm not really digging to the bottom per se. I might need a little bit of water in here. So I've boiled some water on the stove that I'm going to add to this. I just want that sauce that's sitting on top, I want it to integrate with all of the rice. So yes, I'm going to add a little bit of liquid in here, just to make sure that this can continue to steam. And then remember this sauce that I brought out. I can always add that as well to make sure that the flavor is still there. This is how my rice is looking now. I've added like 2 scoops of the sauce, and I added some water. So now I'm going to cover it. But I didn't add an overwhelming amount of water because the rice is a bit al dente, but it still needs to get a little softer. Just added a little bit in there. Let me put the foil back on and cover it for probably about 10-12 minutes and check it again. This is exactly 10 minutes later. I like where we are. You see the water's evaporating. The rice on top is lighter, but when I mix it, the color seems to be coming out more. So this is basically just gonna dry a bit. I'm not gonna put the foil. I'm gonna put the lid back on this rice, but I'm not gonna put the foil back on it because it has steamed plenty. So right now it just basically needs to dry. The water needs to absorb. And putting that foil is gonna trap the water in, but I don't really want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to leave this probably for another 10 minutes on low. So this is after another 10 minutes or so, and I like the way the rice is looking. So I've turned my pot off, and I'm just going to leave the lid on the rice, but it's going to be slightly open, so some of the steam can come out of it. But this, to me, this works great. This looks good. And, you know, it might seem a little, I don't want to, a little moist. Very tiny, a little moist, which is totally fine. Because as the rice, when the steam comes out and the rice sits for a little bit and cools down, you're going to see that that's really helpful in providing a great taste to your rice. So you don't have to have it extremely dry, and it definitely shouldn't be soaking wet. I also have this sauce remaining, which is great. So I can always save this, use it to cook another rice, use it to cook beans, just put it in the freezer if I just want to cook very quickly. So that's what I'm going to do with the sauce.